Okay, I'm here with a peasant from a manor, and we are lucky to have her share her opinions with us. First question, are you considered to be a serf?
I am not considered to be a serf because I'm often bought a lot. I don't have all the extra responsibilities as a serf who follows many more of the Lord's commands. Like, a serf has to give a certain of the portion of grain that they harvest to the Lord, and I don't have to do that.
What conditions do you live under on a regular basis?
Well, the conditions are very harsh. I tend to plow all the land, and whenever I look around me, that's all I see for the majority of the day. Unless if I'm behind the ox, because that's all I see when I'm actually plowing. I'm usually very hungry during the day, and because we don't get very much food, it tends to be very slim what we get. It's usually very cold at night. I have to sleep with my whole family on a bed that is crawling with vermin. It is a straw bed, and it's really cold. We have to sleep with farm animals as well as everybody else on the manor because it's for the body heat to keep us warm because it sucks.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you again soon right after this commercial break.
Lord, what are you doing here at the manor?
I was coming to check on the peasants if they were doing their work, which clearly they're not.
Lord, please send me to town, please. I want warmer stuff. I work day in and day out. I am so cold. I'm so tired of sleeping with my family and all the vermin and the animals. Lord, please, please.
Stop it! Us people are royal and actually worthy of stuff. You are a peasant. There's a difference. You should appreciate what I give to you. The audacity.
Lord, please. Please, come back.
Call 8675309 for help for this peasant.
Alright, I'm here today with the Lord of the Manor. We have some questions for you today. Would you mind answering them?
Sure.
Okay. First one. When are some times that you can call on your vassals for help?
I can call on my vassals for help in 3 different situations. First, when my oldest son is knighted. Second, when my oldest daughter is married. And third, if I was captured in war and held for ransom.
What benefits do you receive by being a lord?
I receive pigs on the manor and a gift of eggs and chicken from my peasants on Christmas and Easter. I also receive a tax from all the grain ground in my mill and all the bread baked in my oven on the manor. I get grain as a tax from the serfs as well as taxes from marriages between serfs.
Go.
What is the process through which a lord is to be considered a lord? Becoming a lord starts with an agreement between the lord and the vassal. Kneeling barehanded and without his sword, the vassal places his hands in the hands of the lord. In this position he was considered to be humble, so he swore to be the Lord's man all the days of his life and to defend the Lord against all men who may live or die. Then the Lord raised up and kissed him. Investiture comes next. Investiture is a symbolic act through which the Lord presents the vassal with a stick, small rod, or clod of earth. This represents the transfer of a piece of land from the Lord into a vassal's hands. This piece of land is called a fief.
Go.
Thank you for coming and talking to us and answering some questions. That's all. Now over to you.
Breaking news. The unthinkable has happened. This knight is in a very conflicting situation. He has collected 2 fiefs from 2 very important lords. The knight has pledged to serve them both. Now that they are at war with each other, he has to choose which one to fight for. His very life depends on picking the winner. As you can see, the feudal pyramid is a complex and full of conflicting loyalties that both lords and the vassals try to use to their advantage. Now, which lord will this knight choose?
Today we are here with the Pope, and she is going to answer some questions. How do you feel about holding the keys to the afterlife?
This is a great power to have because it allows me to control who receives the sacraments.
What are the sacraments?
The sacraments are being baptized, First Communion, Confirmation, marriage, and last rites.
Goals with initiating the Crusades.
My goals for the Crusades were to show my power by sending an army of knights on a holy war and also to reunite the Byzantine and Roman Christians.
Can you explain the conflict between you and Henry IV?
Basically, Henry said some offensive comments towards me, the Pope, and he wanted me to resign. So, you don't tell popes to resign, do you?
No.
You go around and tell people. So, I excommunicated Henry from the church, which basically means he cannot be part of the church. He can't be associated with the church. He did come to me and try to forgive the situation, but that just caused escalation when other comments were made. It was just a whole bad situation. So he got excommunicated again, and his friends were exiled, which basically means they can't talk to people in the church, and he can't be part of any communication. It's not a very good situation, and I wouldn't recommend having anyone go through that situation. It caused much conflict between popes and kings at the time because of the church's pull on the peasants and their manners.
Gotcha.
The Black Plague is killing us off. People have dumped their waste into the street, which has contaminated us all. Plus, close living quarters does not help our situation. We have scarce food and water and shelter. We will die off without a cure. Please help us.
I'm here with this Vassal. Do you mind if we ask you some questions?
Go ahead.
Okay. How do you receive your land, and what do you do in return for it?
I receive my land from the Lord, and in return, I pledge military service.
What is the process that you go through to become a vassal?
I go through investiture, which is a feudal ceremony in which I receive my land and a bishop takes office, which is an act that symbolically confirms the agreement through the exchange of objects.
Does anyone else benefit from your ownership of the land, and how?
The knights do because I give them a fief, which is a small piece of land.
Hi, I'm here with a citizen during the time of the Crusades, and she's here to answer some questions. What are the reasons that the knights have for fighting in the Crusades?
The first reason was that in the First Crusade, many were fired by religious zeal. The second reason was that if they died on the crusade, the Pope promised forgiveness for their sins. And the third reason was that the Crusades were a chance to win glory in battle.
What happened to the Muslims and Jews during the First Crusade?
Muslim men and women were chased through the streets and murdered. The Jews of the city were rounded up, herded into a temple, and burned to death. So sad.
Do you know what the two major reasons were that the Pope had for starting the Crusades?
Pope Urban II, like Gregory VII, claimed to be the leader of all Christendom. The Pope decided to send an army of knights from all Europe's kingdoms on a holy war. Urban II also hoped to reunite Byzantine and Roman Christians.
I'm right.
I'm right.
I'm right.
I'm right.
I'm right. I
I'm
don't
right.
care what you're saying. I'm right.
Okay.
I'm right.
I'm right.
I know. I'm
way
right.
to end this is with the ordeal of boiling water.
Hi, I am here with Henry IV, Emperor of Charlemagne, and we are going to ask him some questions. First question, how did you anger Gregory VII, also known as the Pope?
I became enraged once I found out Gregory became the Pope. I held the title of Emperor, and it was passed down through my family since the time of Charlemagne. I called a meeting of German bishops who I had proudly invested in myself, and with their approval, I sent a letter to Gregory ordering him to step down from the papacy. Some call it vicious, but it is truthful. He really is a false monk, though others refer to him as the Pope because they have fallen under the great influence of him.
Question 2. What were the consequences for sending that crude letter to Gregory?
Well, Gregory replied to me, but with much more of a temper than I had written with. He took the government of the whole kingdom of the Germans and Italians from me. He also freed all the Christians from any oaths they made or would make. Furthermore, he forbade any to serve me. Even more, he excommunicated me. The nerve.
In the end, who proved to be stronger, you or the Pope?
After taking everything away from me, my own bishops and princes chose to side with Gregory. My position seemed hopeless after this unfortunate desertion. I realized that the only way to save my throne was to win the Pope's forgiveness. So, in the middle of the winter of 1077, I ventured over the Alps to Canossa, an Italian town. I approached the castle that held Pope Gregory and presented myself there. In order to beg for forgiveness, I dressed in wretched woolen garment and wore no shoes. For 3 days I was very cold, but I decided to pursue my journey. I cried out, begging forgiveness until the Pope had no choice but to forgive me, for he had to forgive any sinner who came humbly to him. It turns out that we ended up both benefiting from this experience. I was free to go home and punish those who rebelled against me, and Pope Gregory had succeeded in humiliating me.
Call 860-502-4769 for support, for food, shelter. Come on, Ox. Come on, Ox.
I'm here today with a Black Death survivor. How did the Black Death begin?
Well, firstly, Europe's population was steadily increasing for more than 300 years. Although new methods were used to farm more land, almost all the great forests had been cleared and the swamps been drained by 1300. The soil was losing fertility, and year by year, the old fields produced smaller crops. In addition, a little ice age began to occur. Temperatures were warmer than average from 1000 to 1300, but around 1300 the temperatures dropped. As a result, fall frost came early to the fields, which meant smaller harvests and a reduced food supply. Hunger became one of the main changes that caused the plague. In 1347, trade ships brought a dread cargo. This was a disease that soon became known as the Black Death. The illness began sweeping throughout Italy, following trade routes to France, Germany, England, and other areas.
What were the symptoms of the disease, and what was the reaction?
The victims of the disease had a raging fever along with black swellings that grew at their necks and joints. These swellings were the basis of the name Black Death. Victims died within 24 hours, but no one knew what had caused the outbreak. Medieval doctors were helpless. Death carts were loaded with plague victims and soon became a common sight. People fled in terror whenever the plague broke out, yet this only spread the disease further, since they were already infected and carried the disease with them to new places. The death rate was horrendous. Some parents were so afraid of the plague that they abandoned their own sick children. Whole villages were torn apart. Priests were too few and too fearful to give last rites to the dying. The massive disaster tore societies apart until there was nothing left.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for your cooperation answering our questions.
Breaking news! A newfound illness called the bubonic plague. For your safety, it is crucial that you lock yourselves in your houses and do not interact with other individuals. In this case, your safety comes first and the safety of others comes next. This massive disaster is ripping through Europe at a breathtaking speed. Protect yourself. More than a third of Europe's population is gone, causing more deaths than any other plague. Now, new outbreaks keep occurring. The plague is still consistent to everyone. It is extremely necessary that you follow these instructions.
Hi, I am here with a church official. What are your opinions on recent reforms?
Basically, I am not thrilled with the fact that priests can no longer marry. The reformers wish to stop buying and selling church offices, which is also known as simony. Also, lay investiture stopped, which prevents bishops and abbots from receiving their offices from non-church officials.
What do you receive from being a priest on a manor?
Being a priest on a manor allows the priest to receive a payment from the peasant families. This would be equivalent to 1/10 of their income.
By being a church official, were you obligated to perform other duties?
Yes, as a church official, we have to serve military service. In previous times, we had to fight, but now bishops can send knights to fight in their place. This is because bishops and abbots have additional governmental and legal responsibilities, such as being secretary to the Lord, giving counsel, and writing letters for the Lord.
Come back, please!
Call 86753. Wait, okay.
I'm trying not to, but you're like,
Look,
she's dancing. Okay, ready? I'm good.
Wait, hold.
What were your goals with initiating the Crusades?
My goals for the Crusades were to show my power by sending an army of knights to fight for me in a holy war, and also to reunite the Byzantine and Roman Christians. And you, Brianna, need to shut the fuck up.
What are your opinions on recent reforms?
Would you like to redo that?
Lord, what are you doing here? Lord, what?
I'm checking to see if you're doing your work, you peasant.
Start over. Stop hitting me. Investiture. Okay, I can say it. Okay, ready?
What happened to the Muslims and Jews during the...
But do you ever wish that you could have better food? Do you ever wish that you didn't have to work, or that you were a lord so you could order everyone else around?
Yeah, I always feel like if I were able to go to the town, I would be able to have better food there, and it would just be better overall. And wait, what?